What's up, YouTube? 2020 Tantra on Amazon. Info in the description. I'm also on Instagram. The info is also in the description. I don't really need to think about anything with this video here. It's kind of great because it's the Tao. Anything involved with the Tao, or Daoly Jing, I mean. Anything involved in that, it's just breathing. There's no separation in that. So this is what I will be doing every day, giving you guys little excerpts from the Tao every single day. I'll do 81 days of Tao. So I'll do each stanza, and I'll do my interpretation of each stanza. So I also have the audio book of this for y'all, so y'all can get this, because I got so much from the Daoly Jing that I just feel like I have to share it. So anyway, this is from 38 in the Daoly Jing. So when the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. So we're going from the Tao, or oneness, to goodness. From goodness to trying to create laws of goodness. And then from there, we go from making laws to just engaging in rituals because we've totally reached a level of faith that is so unconscious that we're living based on ritual. So this is the husk of true faith. So this is where faith is beginning and ending, however you want to look at it. So if you're losing yourself, you're coming from the oneness. You're coming from the state of oneness, from the state of being the Tao, to state of goodness, to where you're just trying to be good. See, this is just total observation of the perfection. This is the oneness. This is realizing there is no good and bad, and that's all opinion, and that trying to control, it only just creates more of a mess. So from this stage of falling from that state of oneness, then you go to trying. So that's goodness, trying to be good. So that's why it's like you have all different phrases throughout the Daoly Jing that point to this, basically this same thing, where a good man is always doing things. Just man is always doing things. There's still things to be done. There's constant things that need to be done. But those who don't do things never need to you never need to undo things. The more you do, the more you have to undo. So you go from that state of trying to basically be your own probation officer, where you're forcing yourself to be good. So from that state, then you're trying to force other people to be good. So that's morality. That's instilling morality. From this state, you're just a pattern. At the top of being the Tao, you're just a pattern. You're the master. You don't speak. You speak in silence. You speak in your patterns and your actions. That's the Tao. That's true substance. Everything else is a substance. So it's this is goodness, morality. These are just different degrees of oneness. So as you're going from your state of true substance to your different substances, you have your degrees of separation. And this is the way back too, though. The way back is the way forward too, though. So as you fall from separation, religion and ritual can bring you back to the oneness. It's just that if you have to continue to be flexible enough to make the jumping points, and be selfless enough to make the jumping points back to the Tao. But this is the process of losing yourself. This is the process of gradually falling from heaven and oneness and consciousness into unconsciousness in a graceful way, though, too. So as you're losing yourself more and more, you're sticking to these rituals. You got these rituals going on that you practice in your daily life or in your yearly life that keep you just enough of you in you so that you don't totally dissolve and totally fall apart into fragments. So as you're falling into pieces and going into fragment from oneness, you're basically holding on as much as you can with the ritual. The ritual is keeping you there just enough until you fall into separation, to total separation, which still is another Tao. It still brings you to, everything leads to the Tao, but it's just the different directions. Integration or disintegration. So you integrate and you realize the Tao, realize the oneness, and then you realize you don't have to do anything because the universal will is your truest will. You just have to align the body with that and get out of the way of it. So that's the Tao. Now from there, then you're just doing more because you see more lack. You don't see the whole picture, so you have less of a scope. So you feel like you have a personal will and things that need to be done because you don't see the perfection. So you see like, oh, I have to, in influence or change or use my personal will in some way to bring about the reality that I see fit because this isn't perfect. That is a desire in itself. So that's what makes you good. So that's from going from God to good, then from good to bad or moral, and then from that to ritualistic or totally chaos, just total chaos. Just when you're losing yourself. That's how that's going. So, and then as you gain yourself back, then you get into the ritual. You do your rituals every day or whatever they are, you know what I mean, with the breathing practices or whatever your food is or whatever ritual you're doing that's like your way back into yourself. And then you get back into morality. And then from morality, then you get back into like innate goodness. And then from innate goodness, then it's just oneness. So it's just the process of integration or disintegration, either side of that coin. And this is just one segment from stanza 38 in the Tao Te Ching. So if I break down all 81 stanzas, I will have probably hours and hours of material, probably never ending material for each one. So I'm going to go through each stanza, and this is just an example of how to interpret each stanza as you go through them, just a different viewpoint of them, because I know it's always a surface way to view the Tao Te Ching, but it's a kaleidoscopic book. So it's just filled with double entendres. The whole thing is a double entendre. Like there's no one way to look at it, but there's only one way to look at it. That's how much of a double entendre it is. So it really is. It's perfect. It's the most perfect object I've ever came across, honestly. So I just feel like it's something I have to share. I'm compelled to share naturally. It's something that I'm remembering when I read it more so than it feels like I wrote it. It doesn't feel like anything separate from me. And you can't separate the poem from the poet. You know, again, I don't think you can separate reader from writer, and I don't think you can separate the musician from the listener. And I don't think that's ever possible. So, and at the end of the day, whatever you gravitate towards is just your spirit in a different time reaching back for you. So you read a book that was written by you, or however you want to look at it, you can't really separate it because everything's a reflection. So you definitely a reflection of you. No separation, but literally it's a lot closer than what you think, the things that you gravitate towards. You know, the source of those things are always you. So the things that you innately gravitate towards that make you, that is what you created in them past lives that come back to you. It's you reaching back for you or reaching forward for you, however you want to look at it. Holding yourself forward instead of holding yourself back. Creating the expressions now, sharing the light so that it was always here. And when you re-arrive and have a body, another body, whatever you want to call it, when you dematerialize this one and materialize again, the light will be remembered through your ancestors, through the people that you put it through, and then it comes back to you, but it's still the light that is always you, that has always been you. So there's no separation. And that's what the Tao Te Ching is all about, is what the Tao is. So 38, I'll read 38 itself, just so you get the whole 38. So 38 from the Tao Te Ching. The master doesn't try to be powerful, thus he is truly powerful. The ordinary man keeps reaching for power, thus he never has enough. He's pulling from a finite cup. It's like reaching from a reclined state, because he's pulling from this cup. So if you're pulling from here, how can you're always going to need if you're pulling from here. So the more, as you reach for power, you always need it. So you wait for you're not to wait for the power, you attract the power. You realize that it's always in you. So the master does nothing, yet he leaves nothing undone. The ordinary man is always doing things, yet many more things are left to be done. So that the ordinary man is constantly trying to compensate for the things he does. So the more he does, the more he has to undo, and then he never really gets to the core of the problem. So let me read the rest of the stanza for you. The kind man does something, yet something remains undone. The just man does something and leaves many things to be done. The moral man does something, and when no one responds, he rolls up his sleeves and uses force. When the Tao is lost, there is goodness. When goodness is lost, there is morality. When morality is lost, there is ritual. Ritual is the husk of true faith, the beginning of chaos. Therefore, the master concerns himself with the depths and not the surface, with the fruit and not the flower. He has no will of his own. He dwells in reality and lets all illusions go. This just, I mean, again, it's great. Again, the depths and not the surface. The core is unchanging. You stay at the center of the circle. So all that yin and yang is going to constantly come and go. That constant perception of lack is going to constantly show itself, and temptation is always going to be there. So you concern yourself with the depths and not the surface. So the fruit and not the flower. You don't get caught up in the distraction. You don't get lost in the noise if you know the silence. So it's really just a beautiful text, man. I really don't even have nothing else to say about it. So I'm gonna go through the Tao of the day, 81 days of Tao, and I'll make an audio book about this, and I'll just be more concise, and I'll go through each one. This is just an example of how it will go, and eventually I'll make that its own course itself, just a Tao Te Ching course itself, because it's just so kaleidoscopic. So much can be said, but I want to make it as concise as possible. So 2020 Tantra on Amazon, info in the description. Thank you, and I'm going to leave it at that.